For those of you joining us for the first time, the Alive Learning Forum is an open network and event series that provides a space for discussion, collaboration, and shared learning on living evidence partnerships. And as you continue to come into the session, please go ahead and write your name, where you're joining from, maybe if you would like to share something so that we get the discussion started. We'd love to know who is with us today. I see some comments are starting to come. Yeah, Precious, could you move to the next slide? Precious, are you there? Yeah, thank you. So here's what we have planned for today. We will have two presentations from our speakers who I'll just introduce in a moment. Then we will have 20 minutes for a follow-up discussion. And we will then close by sharing some next steps and some notes on how you can stay engaged with the Alive Learning community. Hello, Mike. Hello, Kelly. Welcome. Next slide. A bit about me. My name is Daniela Garcia. I'm an international and human rights lawyer, and I have been working with research and policy spaces, both first at the community level in Colombia, where I'm from, and more recently within a network of global think tanks. And today I'm delighted to be hosting the session with Alive. So a few notes for you to help us make the session a success. First, please keep the microphones off until invited to unmute. Do remember that the session is recorded and will be shared online. Also keep in mind that you have been added to our mailing list for future events. And if you want to unsubscribe, that's okay. So you can send us an email asking to unsubscribe. And if you have any other queries about this or any of the forum sessions, please contact our email, hello@aliveevidence.org. Hello, Brita. Hello, Shelly. It's very nice to have you here. Hi, Promise. About Wordly, if anyone needs translation, you can use the Wordly app. So there should be on the top right corner of your screen, it should say Wordly, and there's a link. When you click the link, it will open a window, and there you can choose the preferred language, and you can move the window so that you can read the translation while still seeing the meeting. Well, let's kick off then. As you know, today we're going to hear from two speakers. First, we're going to hear an example on mapping and analyzing evidence use across Latin America and the Caribbean. And the second part of the session is going to be more focused on methodological lessons and insights from a living network meta-analysis on COVID-19 treatments. Next. And for this, we have two great speakers with us today. First, we have Maria Jose Oliveros. She's a PhD student in health research methodology at McMaster University, and she's also professor at Universidad de la Frontera in Chile. Her research focuses on evidence synthesis, guideline development, and rehabilitation science. And then we have Ignacio Osorio. He's a dentist from the University of Antioquia in Colombia. He holds a master's degree in dental sciences with an emphasis on forensic dentistry and public health from the University of Sao Paulo in Brazil. And he's currently pursuing a PhD in health policy at McMaster University. He is also a researcher and coordinator at the Latin America and Caribbean Evidence Hub, HubLAC, and he is a researcher at the Evidence and Deliberation Unit for Decision Making. And just before I hand it over to our speakers, I would like to encourage you all to write down anything that resonates or any questions that come to mind during the presentations. Do remember that we will have about 20 minutes after the presentations for a follow-up discussion where you can bring up any thoughts, questions, or ideas, perhaps from your own work that might help inform or improve your practice. So please feel free to engage with our speakers and make the most out of this space today. Over to you, Maria Jose.
I think it's me, Daniela. Oh, great.
Yes.
Thank you. Can you hear me well? Okay, great, perfect. Thank you for the introduction. Well, I'm so happy to be here sharing this ongoing and exciting work with you all. this is a work about building a living knowledge-based hub-like mapping to strengthen the evidence-informed policy evidence ecosystem in Latin America and the Caribbean. Well, I think it's, well, you can go to the next slide, please. Great, great, fantastic. Well, I would like to share something about the hub-like first. Can you go back? Can you go to the previous slide? Well, this is the slide. Okay, no, the next one, please. Next one. That's okay. Great. This is the Latin America and the Caribbean Evidence Hub, the Hub LAC. Well, we are an organization that works to promote transnational and interdisciplinary collaboration from the institutionalization of evidence-informed decision-making in Latin America and the Caribbean region. I'm so proud to be part of this initiative, this organization. I have been working in the Hub LAC since the last 3 years, I think. And we have been conducted different strategies, activities to try to reinforce and strengthen the evidence ecosystem in our region of Latin America and the Caribbean. I saw that Shelly Ann is here. She's also part of the organization. I'm so happy to be here sharing this part of our ongoing work. Well, in our organization, we have been conducting different activities to try to create and maintain and reinforce and strengthen the evidence ecosystem network in Latin America and the Caribbean. And we have conducted workshops, interviews with different stakeholders, interviews with evidence intermediaries and different organizations across the region. And we are also working on La Semana de la Evidencia, which is the Evidence Week, which is a huge festival to try to bring together different presentations about evidence-informed policymaking in Latin America and the Caribbean. And we are also working in the mapping, which is the specific word I'm going to share today. Next slide, please. Well, this is the overall structure. This is really a brief, a short presentation because I want to share the key ideas of this ongoing mapping. First, I'm going to share the background, the goals and the methods, and preliminary findings, and some next steps we want to do after this mapping process. Next slide, please. Well, first of all, I would like to acknowledge all the people who have been involved in this ongoing map. This is the product of collaborative work. I'm so proud and happy to be here. But well, I'm presenting this progress on the mapping, but this is possible thanks to all the people listed in this slide and more. I would like to say thank you to Jessica, Silvia, Veronica, Laura, Carol, Ingrid, David, Raquel, and all those who have been involved in this process and continue to contribute directly or indirectly, because this is the product of the work of everyone at HubLab. Next, yes, perfect. Well, as I said, our aim is to strengthen the regional ecosystem for evidence-informed policymaking. And for this goal, we are creating a living mapping of professionals and organizations across Latin America and the Caribbean. And we are also inspired by other successful experiences from PEACE and EvidNet. We have many friends in different organizations across the world, and we are also inspired by them. And with this initiative, we want to provide a clear picture of the region's evidence actors, capacities, gaps, while highlighting opportunities for collaboration, resource mobilization, and more inclusive evidence-informed policymaking. Well, the goal is, to map and analyze the actors that shape evidence use in policymaking across our region, and generating insights that will strengthen the LAC Hub's partnership, inform priorities, and connect the regional ecosystem. Well, regarding the methods, we use a mixed methods approach with 2 steps. These are the first step is a survey which includes a stakeholder mapping via an online form that was available in Spanish, Portuguese, and English. We did a manual translation of the mapping and adjusting the specific concepts in the specific languages, because we find that specific concepts related to evidence-informed decision making in English should be adjusted in Portuguese and Spanish. And we gather data on focus areas, thematic sectors, activities, evidence use, and communication and collaboration interest. And we also conducted sorry, these are not random words. There are, there is an issue with the spaces between words. Sorry for that. But well, the second part of the approach, or this exploratory study were the in-depth mapping through semi-structured interviews with selected participants, exploring strategies, barriers, enablers, and successful networking experiences across the region. Next, please. Well, here is okay. Data was analyzed descriptively and thematically, and also we want to conduct regular updates to build a dynamic and evolving knowledge database. Right now, we have some limitations. We have limited resources, but we want to continue working on this mapping. Next slide, please. Well, we have some preliminary findings. Today, I'm sharing these preliminary findings, but in the end of the year, we will be sharing the full report, including all the results from this mapping, and I will be inviting you to join us in that presentation. For now, we have 125 responses from 15 countries. This mapping started in 2024. And we have 125 responses from 15 countries, plus contributions from Europe and North America. These specific responses from Europe and North America are related to people or organizations who are currently based in Europe or North America, but whose scope of practice is on Latin America and the Caribbean. Most participants came from the public sector and academia, followed by civil society, NGOs, and the private sector. We also found that health was the most reported focus area, followed by education, innovation and public management, and environment and human rights. And 10 participants were selected for in-depth interviews, 5 completed so far, and that's a brief description of the results we have now. Well, regarding next steps, the mapping provides an initial regional evidence-informed policy landscape by highlighting key actors, thematic areas, roles, and opportunities for collaboration. And we hope the mapping will guide future actions, such as matching evidence, supply, and demand, and expanding the mapping. This is another branch of this mapping. We want to conduct regular updates of the mapping. We also want to position HubLab as a dynamic regional network for evidence-informed policy making. Next slide, please. Well, this is my last slide. As I said, we will be sharing our full results, the full report, in the end of the year. And we invite you to follow us for more information. We have LinkedIn newsletter. You can subscribe to our newsletter. We also can go to the website, and you will find different publications, interviews we have conducted in the last during these 3 years. That's my this is my presentation. Next, thank you so much for your time, and I'm more than happy to chat with you, talk about this ongoing beautiful mapping process. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Duver. I think we can move straight to Maria Jose, and then at the end we will have some questions.
Okay, so can you hear me? Yes. Okay, so thank you for the introduction and for the invite to this forum. Today, I'm gonna change a little bit the focus. I'm gonna share with you some methodological analysis that we have done in this living network meta-analysis of COVID. So when conducting health research, our ultimate goal is to improve decision-making to help patients, clinicians, and policymakers to make informed decisions. And similarly, we are helping this objective when conducting methodological research. Here, when we are looking at our method, when we are developing frameworks, when we are looking at our processes, we aim to make the evidence that inform those decisions stronger and more trustworthy. So to do that, what we use like this methodological lens to look at the research, not to use the clinical results themselves, but to look at how the processes are done and how they can inform future research. So in this case, I'm sharing today, this is what we did. We look at this living systematic review and network meta-analysis of drugs treatment for COVID. So this is a large project that started early in the pandemic, assessing all the drugs treatment available at the time for COVID. And this was a living network meta-analysis. So we have multiple updates over time, assessing any drugs compared standard care or any other for those this outcome of interest. So using this methodological lens, we look at this living network meta-analysis. Why? Because we found it that this living nature gives us a unique environment. This was like repeat multiple time analysis over time. So we have not just a snapshot, we have like an evolving picture of the data. And also this was systematic review and network meta-analysis, meaning that we had not only one or two treatments being compared, we have multiple treatments compared at the same time and over time. So we found that this was a unique environment to ask some methodological questions. So within this context, today I want to share with you the first objective, that is to describe how the certainty of evidence and the direction of the effect behave as evidence accumulate in a living systematic review and network meta-analysis. And also we evaluate the impact of including conference abstract in systematic reviews. So for the first objective, we use and we included all the comparisons between any drugs treatment and standard care placebo. But we use the data that present results for the same comparison at least at 2 time point. Because we needed to answer what will happen at the next update, we needed at least 2 time point. So what did we find? We have a total of 150 observation reporting data for 2 consecutive time points across all the treatment options for the same outcome. And before maybe looking at table 1, it is important to remember that certainty of evidence is reflect how confident we are that the estimate effect that we are observing from this pool effect reflect what will happen in reality. So how trustworthy this result is. So the higher the certainty of evidence, the more confident we are that the patient will experience the effect that we are observing in our synthesis. So table 1 shows how the certainty of evidence behave between 2 time points. So we have time 1 and time 2 on the graph, and we can see like the darker maroon cells along the diagonal represent the higher concordance. So we can see that as evidence accumulate or as the next update, the certainty of evidence usually remains stable over time, with a slightly strength to be higher as uncertainty of evidence is also higher. Here in this graph, we are looking just at one outcome. This is mortality over time in the X axis, we have all the version of this living network meta-analysis, and on the Y we have the grade of the certainty of evidence, and each color represents a different drug treatment that was assessed. So we have that some of them were assessed from the beginning, like from the original version of the living network meta-analysis, and we have how the certainty of evidence behaved. So what stands out here is like most of the treatment show like a stable certainty of evidence over time. And in a few cases, the certainty of evidence move up as evidence accumulate. As you can see, like in these examples, they move from very low to low or from low to moderate. And the reason for this movement are usually because as evidence accumulate, as we have more randomized clinical trials, usually we have less imprecision in our estimate, the studies are more consistency, and also we decrease risk of bias. Here, what we have is what happened with the direction of defects based on what is the certainty of evidence at time 1. Graph, we can see that when certainty of evidence is moderate at time 1, so we're pretty certain about defect, the direction of defect remains the same at the next update in 75% of the cases. As you can see here, that is composed by 45% showing a benefit and 30% showing no effect. What happened when we have low certainty at time 1 with defect? In 69% of the cases, also the effects remain the same, but here the effect is mostly showing no effect with just 5% showing a benefit. And when we have very low certainty of evidence, we cannot make conclusion about if the treatment is beneficial or harmful because we are very, very uncertain about the effect. So what happened at the next update when we have very low certainty of evidence is like in 62% of the cases, this uncertainty remains. But in almost a third, like in a 30% of the cases, this uncertainty changed to no effect. And in less than 5% of the cases, this uncertainty changed to rather beneficial or harmful effect. Now I'm moving to the objective 2, like looking at the impact of including conference abstract in systematic reviews. In this large project, we included randomized clinical trials being reported in any source or form of publication. We included full text publication, preprint, and also conference abstract. So for this analysis, we select all the conference abstracts that were comparing any drugs treatment between them or with the standard care until May 2024, as you can see here. And to really evaluate what is the impact of including conference abstract in systematic review, we decided that we needed to assess what is the quality of reporting in the conference abstract. So we included all the conference abstract to assess their quality. And also we wanted to see for those conference abstracts that already have a full text publication available, how consistent were the key methods in between the two sources of information within the two formats. And then we also wanted to assess how the inclusion of conference abstract would impact in the meta-analysis and the conclusion of the meta-analysis. So what did we find? Regarding the reporting quality, we found that most of the conference abstracts showed moderate reporting quality to this consort for conference abstract tool. Like almost a third percent of the conference abstract had low or very low compliance with this quality reporting. If we look at each of the domain, as we can see here on the left, we can see like that for some items, such as like the details about the patient, details about the intervention, the objective, or the conclusion of the study were well reported in conference abstract. But other domains really important, such as author contact information, details about the design, like trial registration, like details about randomization were really poorly reported in conference abstracts. regarding the consistency between the key method that in a randomized clinical trial are really important when we are conducting evidence synthesis of them, how the randomization, concealment, follow-up time, the co-intervention at the time of randomization were consistent or not. So here we have the conference abstract with their final full text paper. We found some inconsistency between this key method, but most of the inconsistencies were due to additional reporting in the full text paper, which makes sense. So in conference abstract, some details were not reported, and then they were in the full text publication. But also we find between the consistency when these two key methods were the same in between the conference abstract and the full text publication, we found that some of them were consistent, but because no detail were reported in both formats. Like there were not a lot of detail about the co-intervention at time of randomization in the conference abstract, but also in the full text paper, and same for blinding of the evaluator. And regarding the impact of including conference abstract in meta-analysis and on the conclusion of systematic reviews, we analyzed this in two outcomes, one representing like the Coromos outcome and one continuous outcome. How we did this, we conducted two meta-analyses, one including conference abstract and the other without the conference abstract, and we analyzed the effect, like the direction of the effect, with and without the conference abstract, if it was beneficial, trivial, or harmful, based on threshold. And then with the inclusion or not of the conference abstract, we assess if this effect remained the same or it changed. We did the same for the domain of certainty of evidence. So we included and excluded conference abstract, and we evaluate how trustworthy the results were. So what did we find? First of all, conference abstracts were the only source of evidence in 14 of the time points analyzed, meaning that conference abstract enabled meta-analysis in 14% of the cases, or the only source of evidence to inform treatment about the drugs. When we use the null as a threshold, when we use the 0 or the 1 as a threshold, including conference abstract changed the effect in 6% of the cases. And including conference abstract would have led to rating up the certainty of evidence to be more confident by one level in almost 5% of the cases, but also it would lead to rating down the certainty of evidence in 5% of the cases. So no a real trend about this. When using an MID, like the minimal clinical important difference as a threshold to determine if the treatment was beneficial or harmful, including conference abstract changed the effect in 22% of the cases, and including conference abstract would have led to rating up the certainty of evidence in almost 10% of the cases and rating down in 5% of the cases. So also not a really clear trend about this. So I know that this was like completely different. So some take-home message about this methodological analysis. What did we learn, and what are the implications about this? In this sample, like certainty of evidence generally remains stable over time, with a slight trend toward higher ratings. The trend suggests that the higher the initial certainty of evidence, the more likely that the direction of the effect remain the same, and it's not going to change in the next update. Regarding the conference abstract, the inclusion of conference abstract should be assessed case by case, because in some cases, they could give us information for those to inform decision for which one conference abstract is going to be the only source of evidence, or in cases when like evidence is emerging, right? And reporting quality of conference abstract must improve in order to be reliable sources of evidence for synthesis. And linking conference abstracts to full text publication is essential to prevent data publication in synthesis. And we can say that most of the key method factor between the conference abstract and the full text publication remain consistent. So my acknowledgement to the author of the Living Network meta-analysis and all of the reviewers that contribute to this big project, the co-author of the first analysis, and also to the co-author of the final paper, in which one we were assessing the impact of including conference abstract in systematic reviews. So I'm also happy to take any of your questions forward.
Thank you, Maria Jose, very much for sharing a bit of your experience and the lessons that have been coming up from this process. And thank you, Duber, as well. I wonder if now anyone from the audience has any thoughts or questions that you would like to share with the speakers. We are exactly on time, so also thank you for that. We have 20 minutes for the audience to come up. If you have any questions or thoughts you would like to share, you can also write them in the chat, and we can read them out loud for you in case you cannot use your microphone. Reiner, I see you've unmuted yourself. Are you trying to speak or?
Yes, do you hear me?
Yes, go ahead.
Do you see my video? You don't see it, eh? Anyway, okay.
No.
So I'm quite new to evidence, live evidence synthesis. I was wondering about the methods. The example we just saw was about a network meta-analysis, which is good for pharmaceuticals, but difficult to use in other areas. And at the beginning, we heard about mixed methods. So I'm wondering about the methodology for evidence synthesis. Do you sometimes use the term triangulation when you have different sources of evidence, different types of evidence, different methods? How do you put this together? Often there is a deliberative process needed to do this. Are you doing this deliberative process together with the decision makers, or where does it take place if you use it?
Maria, Duber, who would like to answer?
Well, I can talk a little bit more about mixed methods because, well, I'm not an expert in mixed methods, but well, this is an approach where you want to well, you collect, analyze information from by using different methodological approaches, usually well quantitative and qualitative information from different sources. In our cases, we conducted a survey, and we also that could be, for example, the quantitative part, and we also conducted interviews, and that could be the qualitative part, and we we intentionally created this strategy or this approach to try to reinforce the findings to explain and understand the evidence ecosystem in our region. I could say that mixed methods allows that the possibility to merge two methodological approaches, qualitative and quantitative approaches, to reinforce each other to better to gain a better understanding of a real life phenomenon, in which in this case is the evidence ecosystem. Again, I'm not a mixed methods expert, but I could say that this approach is helping us to reinforce the findings from both sides, from both methodological sides.
Thank you, Duber. Reiner, did that answer your question? Maria Jose, would you like to add something?
Yes, I just wanted to add, like in this project, for sure, clinicians were part of this and they had an important role. So here I'm showing like the effect or like more quantitative analysis, but every decision was like in combination with clinician judgment. So they were like a lot of drugs be assessed at the same time. So for sure we need like judgment for clinicians to inform like importance, to inform what of them need to be summarized and presented, and keep it this living, like keeping this synthesis living also help to, in each iteration of the network meta-analysis, including more drugs that are considered more important or are being used in different contexts. So I don't know if exactly I'm giving you your answer, but I just wanted to make the point that this is a quantitative method, but for sure, a clinician judgment are included, and yeah.
Thank you. Rainer, is there anything you would like to add?
Well, thanks for the answers. Anyway, I'm working in the area of public health and especially maternity protection at work. So very often I've been working in health technology assessment before. So I'm sort of aware of different methods, about mixed methods, and personally, I prefer the term triangulation, putting together this in different perspective, different methods, different types of data, but you have to put this together at one point. So the network meta-analysis is something very traditional. It's being used for health technology assessment for drugs, but there are very many questions where you can't do this. And Maria told us about this. So just wondering, do you have any thoughts about policy questions where the uncertainty is quite high, where you have to use explicitly different methods, different source of evidence? And what are the methods, what are the processes that you plan to adopt to put these bits and pieces of evidence together? And how do you going to do this in a live way, in a continuing fashion? I mean, you can have a Cochrane review that's going on. You can have a network meta-analysis or systematic review, but how to keep evidence alive when you have different sources of evidence? I'm just wondering what method you would use, and especially not a method, I would say what process you would use to do so.
Oh, really complex question.
Yeah, I know. Especially, I mean,
but
people talk about the knowledge base
yes.
also. Maybe the knowledge base can bring some information on this, sort of what kind of knowledge base would you build, how you make these connections between the different bits and pieces of, yes, you did knowledge mapping, but beyond the mapping, you have to integrate all this together in an ongoing fashion. I was just wondering if you have any thoughts on this.
Yes. So my answer can be a little bit biased because my area of expertise, or what I've been doing the most in my PhD, is working to use evidence synthesis to inform clinical practice guideline. So when you were asking this, the first thing that is spring to my mind is the process that we usually conduct to make a guideline or to inform recommendation. Because I'm not saying that for the network meta-analysis, we are using different pieces or different research design that can be possible. I'm saying that for finally have a recommendation where we want to know if it's important to use this treatment compared with this one in this population, we have like specific processes to consider different pieces, meaning I can consider what is the effect of the intervention, if the benefit and harms, like what is the balancing between the benefit and harms of the intervention, but we also consider other factors such as what are the values and preference of patients about the outcomes that are being assessed. We also consider cost, we also consider feasibility, we consider context. So I'm not responding regarding just this network meta-analysis. I'm saying that in making decisions, we also consider some different pieces, and there are some processes to consider what are the most important across like the process. What else? I don't know if that helps a little bit, or if you have any following question, and I can go more in deep about this, but that is the first thing that is spring to my mind when we talk about different research to inform decisions.
No, I think it's okay. My question is indeed very complex, so I'm not expecting any definite answer to that. So thanks a lot.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Is there anyone else in the audience that would have any questions or thoughts? I think in the meantime, and following, since Maria Jose, you were speaking already, could you tell us a bit about, is there anything that we could conclude more as a kind of general rule that would inform when is it worth to keep leaving an evidence body? For example, is it fair to say that once a body of evidence reaches moderate certainty, Is it very unlikely that it will change, and then constantly updating might not be that relevant? Or do you think that would you still wait for having more information to make that call?
Yeah, based on like this sample, I would agree exactly what you say. So that was one of our first motivation to conduct this analysis, because we know that livings is really useful to inform decision, but it's also right resource. We have to invest a lot of resource. We have to invest time in doing this. So that was our first motivation, try to look at for some like factors or reason that might tell us when it's not maybe appropriate to continue updating. And I would say when we already reach moderate certainty of evidence, or we have high certainty of evidence, maybe that is a good point to say it. We are pretty sure that this is not going to change as evidence accumulate, right? On the other side, like here in COVID, we were looking at different drugs. For some of them, we reached this moderate certainty of evidence at the beginning, but for others, we started with really low certainty of evidence over time. So some of the treatment might continue be living, but for others, probably this is not going to change. Yes.
Thank you. Thank you very much. And then perhaps moving a bit towards the HubLag initiative, Duber, would you like to tell us a bit more about the main barriers that you have faced in increasing the survey's response rate, particularly from actors in the Caribbean? And maybe a second question is, are you right now collecting information on whether evidence producers from the region are producing living evidence? Is this something that it's in your radar? Are you doing it already?
Okay, great. Well, thank you for the question. I think one of the main barriers in the region, I will say, is probably language, because we have, three different languages. Most countries in Latin America speak Spanish. I think one of the first barriers we faced was the language, but fortunately we have colleagues from the Caribbean region, Chilean and other colleagues from the region, who really help us to solve these kind of barriers. And sometimes we have to, mainly for the interviews, we have to send reminders for people, because sometimes they don't send us responses, but we understand that they have lots of things to do. But I will say that we try to solve that kind of barriers by including our colleagues from the Caribbean region. I think this is very important for us. We also try to maintain the contacts, and we also send them emails and reminders to help us continue with the process. And also, as I mentioned, we have limited resources. I think this is the general. This is a very, very relevant barrier in our region in our work right now. We have limited resources to conduct this kind of works. We also have many interesting ideas. We have also lots of tons of ideas to work to strengthen the Latin American Caribbean region evidence ecosystem. But again, the limitation of resources, not only in the context of the work we do, but also in the specific countries. I think this is one of the main barriers. And for living evidence, I think, yes, this is definitively something really relevant for any evidence ecosystem. And we also took into account this kind of approaches, and we also want to have a sense of how different researchers or organizations are using or leading to use evidence or living evidence to inform decision making. So my answer is yes, we want to also include this into our analysis.
Thank you. So you want to include it, but it's not something that it's already.
I think there is one question about that in the there was one question or two in the survey, and I think there is also one or two questions in the interview. Yeah.
Okay. Well, thank you very much. We have around 5 more minutes for discussion. So if anyone in the audience wants to go ahead and ask a question, share an idea, this is your moment. Also, I just realized that probably the name was Reiner, not Reiner. I was keeping up the Spanish pronunciation in the name, so apologies for that. Yeah. Okay, I guess if there are not any more questions, then I will have one more for each of you. So, Maria Jose, if you could share a bit about how the objective 2 on inclusion of conference abstracts might be affected with the uses of AI to facilitate the production of some evidence synthesis. Do you think, for example, that there is any potential to train a machine specifically to look into those abstracts when deciding to include them or not in a given evidence synthesis? And before you answer for Duber, can you share maybe some preliminary insights from the in-depth interviews?
So we were discussing like all this point, even like AI, because when we conduct a systematic review, usually we use some AI platform or machine learning for like improving our processes, right? The thing is, that is why we look at the quality of reporting, because the main problem right now is like critical information is not well reported in conference abstract. So there are a lot of variety. So depending in how like the conference request, like the abstract is the information that we can see on them. So I would say that that is the major limitation even for AI, because there are like heterogeneity about how what information we can find in conference abstract. So I would say there is a huge potential for sure. Usually randomized clinical trial is one of the design in which one we work like faster. But if we improve like the reporting method, for sure, I would say that AI will have an important role like in everything that can help us to improve the processes of evidence synthesis. But I would say right now we need to for sure focusing on improving like quality reporting of conference abstract. Yeah.
Regarding your question to me, sorry, because we don't have preliminary findings regarding these interviews. The preliminary findings we have is the ones I shared with you, but we can for sure share the full findings in our event in the end of the year. Sorry for that, Daniela. But well, if you are interested in the findings, you can send us emails, and we also can share the invitation for our presentation of the full report. Sorry for that, but we will have the results, and we'll be more than happy to share it with you all.
No, thank you very much. And I think this is also a great moment to invite all the participants to pay attention to the channels for when the launch event will be. So if anyone else also in the audience is interested in hearing the full findings, that they can also be there when they're ready. Well, that concludes our discussion. I would like to first thank you both for the discussion, for sharing your insights, for being here today. Also, thanks to everyone in the audience. Before we wrap up, we would like to ask you for if you have 2 minutes of your time to complete a short survey, if you could give us feedback, tell us what you think is going well, what you think we could improve. Maybe if you have any ideas for future sessions, please go ahead and write them there. Also, you could, for example, present your own work if you're interested in doing that. So I think there's a question on future sessions that you could write there if you have any ideas for that you want to present your own work, or if you want to have any ideas for future sessions. Thank you, Josephine, and thank you for being here. We hope to see you again. You don't leave just yet. We're just finishing the poll and then we'll have a closure. I suppose, is everyone done with the survey? Is anyone still completing it? Savit says does not allow to submit. Precious, is there maybe some issue with the poll or? Let me see.
Sorry, could you repeat that, Daniela?
Does anyone else have that problem that the survey does not allow to submit?
I think that you have to complete it all in order to be able to submit. So if there is one that is,
Okay.
yeah.
It's probably that, Savit. Have you filled out all the questions?
It seems to be working just well. The submissions are coming in, so
Okay.
we're okay.
Okay, I guess, Savit, let us know if everything is working now. And with that, I think we can move forward.
It's okay. It's okay now.
Okay, perfect. Great. That's great. So if we could go to the next slide. Okay, so that concludes our session today. Thank you so much for joining us again. We look forward to seeing you again. The next session is going to be on the 27th of this month. It's going to be a session of Alive Learns. So the session will be focused on enablers for living evidence with a focus on AI bridging theory with practice. And it's going to be chaired by our co-chair Rasha Padlala. So please join the session. We will be sharing as well with you if you're already in our list. We will be sharing the event, and for those who can't join, it will be recorded and shared again. You can also, Christian is sending a link if you are not yet in the mailing list. You can join here to share the event, or you can also share it with someone that might be interested in participating. Thank you again, and see you soon.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Bye. Thank you. Bye.